Postseason football, anybody? Buffalo takes on Denver in the wild card round. How did it fare? What happened on Saturday? What else might happen on Sunday? It all happens right now on Bills post game playoff edition. Bills post game. I'm Scott McGregor. Hello, Bills Mafia. How you doing? I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. It starts right now. Welcome to Sports for Beginners. This is the show where I cover the Pittsburgh Penguins, Toronto Blue Jays, and take you on a journey through the world of sports from the fans' perspective. Here is your host, Scott McGregor. Let's have some fun. What is up, Bills Mafia? What is up, everybody? Denver fans, Bills fans, it's the postseason, whether you win or you lose. And in this case, the Buffalo Bills win big. They win by a 28-point margin, I believe. 31-7, your final. And my goodness, what a final it was. 31-7, your final. Wow. How about that? The Buffalo Bills beat up. Okay, not beat up. Anywho, you know what I mean. They beat the Denver Broncos 31-7. We'll break it down for you all in a little bit. But what a game that was. It was actually a 24-point win for the Buffalo Bills. 31-7, your final. And next up for Buffalo, they'll take on Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens, excuse me. The best part about that is it will be here in Buffalo where the game played out today between the Denver Broncos, Sean Payton, and rookie quarterback Bo Nix against Sean McDermott, head coach of the Buffalo Bills, and of course, number 17, Josh Allen, our quarterback of the Buffalo Bills. Now, when will this game be taken place? Well, it could be either this Saturday, January the 18th, or Sunday, January 19th. One thing we know for sure is that it will be the Bills hosting the Ravens at Highmark Stadium either on Saturday or Sunday this coming week. We'll see where the tide falls. The last time the Ravens and the Bills met in the playoffs, the Bills advanced with a 17-3 victory, and that was in the AFC Divisional game in 2020. So what will happen this time when we see them in the postseason? We await to find out, and we're going to find out on Sunday. We'll talk about all that in a little bit in just a moment. But now that we've talked about Sean Payton versus Sean McDermott and Bo Nix versus Josh Allen, it's time for us to take our first commercial break of the program. Before we get there, now that we talked about that right off the jump, happy playoff victory Monday to you, Bills Mafia. The Buffalo Bills defeated the Denver Broncos 31-7, and we'll break it all down for you in our second segment. Well, we'll break the second half down for you in the second segment. Before we get to our first break of the program, we will break down for you. Yes, I said break down for you. We'll break it all down for you. we will break down the action that sees the Ravens beat the Steelers and the Texans beat the Chargers. We'll break it all down for you in a little bit. But our first half scoring summary is going to take us into our first break of the program. So here we go. Here we go. Bo Nix starts things off with a 43-yard touchdown to Troy Franklin. Will Lutz extra point is up and good. The Broncos strike first. It's 7-0. But then the Bills hold to a field goal. Tyler Bass has to make a 26-yard field goal, and he does just that. He does just that. Bills down by 4. It's 7-3. It's 7-3 Broncos. To the second quarter we go. James Cook. Let James cook. 5-yard touchdown run. Tyler Bass, extra point, up and good. Now the Bills are in front. It's 10-3. Buffalo. And it would remain that way at the half after Will Lutz misses a field goal to send this game to a tie at the end of the first half. So Buffalo out in front 10-7 and would receive the opening kickoff in the second half. They're up by 3 after 1 quarter of play. After Will Lutz has to make a 50-yard field goal, it doinks off the right upright, and that's why after 1 half of play, the Bills are up by 3 points, 10-7 at the half. Break down the second half coming up for you in just a moment. So stick with us for that. Plus, before we get to breaking down the second half, we'll break down Saturday's game in Wildcard Weekend that led to Bills versus Ravens and Texans versus the number 2 seed Kansas City Chiefs. So stick with us. Scoring from the second half coming up next on Bills Postgame. We'll be right back in a moment.
CNT Radio will never give you up. They will never let you down. Nor will they run around or desert you. So join Nick Astley for The Melting Pot every Saturday on CNT Radio. Hang on a minute. He's not Nick Astley. Oh, jings, I've done it wrong. Anyway, just join Nick for The Melting Pot on CNT Radio.
Looking for conversations on the world of broadcasting, sports media, and from time to time, my favorite sports teams? Listen to Broadcast Map with me, Ali Musa. To learn more about the show and to view the upcoming schedule, like the Broadcast Map Facebook page. Search Broadcast Map.
Stick with us here on Sports for Beginners for more of our Triple Trouble. We've got the Penguins and the Bolts starting at about 35 minutes from now, about 35 minutes from now. They will play the Bolts. The Penguins and the Bolts will play at 5 p.m. Eastern tonight. The Penguins looking for a little bit of a taste of revenge. Well, actually, a little bit of a bounce back, rather, as they play the Tampa Bay Lightning tonight. We do wish Michael Bunting well, and we're grateful that he is not hurt. We found out that he was in a car accident. So that is why he will not play tonight. And the same thing can be said for Evgeny Malkin. He was placed on the IR earlier today. Philip Tomasino, however, is back. So welcome back, Philip Tomasino. And I want to remind everybody that we've still got for you the Victoire versus the Frost. That will come your way before we recap the Penguins and the Penguins and the Bolt, which short form Bolt is for the Bolt's short form is for Penguins and the Lightning. That game actually right now between the Frost and the Victoire in the second period as we speak. So we'll see where the final score leads in that one. But again, the Penguins coming up in now just about 34 minutes time. And we'll see where the game takes us on that end. Penguins coming up in just about 34 minutes, 33 minutes time. I'll have the post-game show for you after the game. So be sure you check that game out.
Looking for conversations on books and more, as well as tutorials on using your favorite devices and applications? You've come to the right place. Join us weekly on Spicy Techie, where Ali and Sienna provide insightful conversations, as well as useful tips and tricks to help you along on your technological journey. To learn more, tune into the show and like the Spicy Techie Facebook page. Search for Spicy Techie.
Looking for a good hockey podcast that covers your favorite hockey teams and mine? Check out On the Ice and Behind the Benches, where we chat about our favorite hockey teams from puck drop to the last play of the action. To learn more, follow the On the Ice and Behind the Benches Facebook page. Search On the Ice and Behind the Benches. All right, back to Buffalo because this is Bill's post game, but that's just a reminder of what's coming up on our triple trouble. That's just a reminder of what's coming up on our triple trouble. So with that being said, let's get back to it. Third quarter we go. The Bills. Scott, focus. You're talking Bills right now. We'll talk Penguins later. The Bills are up by 3 at the half at 10-7. They go up a couple more points. It's now 13-7 as Denver allows only another field goal. So now it's a 6-point lead for Buffalo. Buffalo has a field goal here in the third quarter. Tyler Bass, field goal is a 27-yarder. It is good. 13-7 Buffalo. Later in the third quarter, before we get to the fourth quarter of play, later in the third, Josh creates some time here, does find Ty Johnson for a 24-yard touchdown. The play would go under review and be upheld by the replay official. The replay official reviewed the play, and they reviewed the pass ruling. for a completion, it was determined that the play was upheld, and therefore the ruling on the field would stand. So Ty Johnson will be credited with a 24-yard touchdown pass from Josh Allen. Bills go for two. Josh finds Keon Coleman to complete a 2-point attempt on a 2-point conversion. That brings Buffalo's lead from 6 a bit higher. It's now 21-7. Buffalo up by 2 scores, 14-7. 14 points for Buffalo. But they're up now 21-7 at the fourth quarter. So they're up by 14, headed to the fourth quarter. In the fourth quarter, Josh got an interesting call there on the Ty Johnson touchdown for 24 yards. This time he finds Curtis Samuel, and Curtis Samuel is gone for a 55-yard touchdown run. Extra point by Tyler Bass. Up and good. It's now 28-7 Buffalo. And the Bills have now grown that 14-point lead to a 21-point lead. And they are up 28-7. They are up 28-7. Now leading by 21 points here in the fourth. Late in the fourth quarter, Tyler Bass has made a few extra points. Also been tested twice already with the 26-yard field goal and a 27-yard field goal that he made. Now he's got to make a 34-yard field goal. And if he does, the Bills go up 31-7, which means the lead would go to 24. And the Bills do make that field goal. Tyler Bass does make that field goal. And the Bills will go on to win by 24 points. 31-7, your final at Orchard Park, New York today, I should say. As the Bills move on into the divisional round. They will host the Ravens next week in the divisional round, and the Texans are off to They are off to the Texans right now are off to Kansas City. Meanwhile, the Ravens are coming to Buffalo to play the Bills next Saturday or Sunday next week in the NFL divisional round on Divisional Weekend in the NFL. The Packers and the Eagles are underway right now. And speaking of that, let's take a quick moment to acknowledge what went down, ultimately leading to what the Bills and Broncos game decided. Here's a look at our Saturday scoreboard. Lamar Jackson and company leading the Baltimore Ravens to a 28-14 win in the late window over the Steelers. And you have to wonder, if the Steelers beat the Ravens, if it was still Buffalo hosting the winner of the Ravens and Steeler game, you'd have to wonder that the Steelers would be coming to Buffalo looking to steal momentum and get one game closer to the Super Bowl. But now their season is done, and they lose 28-14. The Texans go on cruise control on Saturday and take down the Los Angeles Chargers, but we want to extend our prayers and our condolences to everyone affected by the Los Angeles wildfires going on right now. And we even know about wildfires going on in Brooklyn, so we want to hope that everyone is okay right now. So we want to extend our prayers and condolences to everyone affected by all of the wildfires going on. 32-12, the Texans beat the Chargers, and then it was our game, the Bills and Broncos, that decided where the Texans were headed and where the Ravens were headed next week. The Ravens will come to Buffalo to play next week. The Bills and the Texans have the Chiefs. When will those games play out? That we don't know yet, but we will know by the end of Wildcard Weekend. So be sure you stick around on Monday after the Rams and the Vikings game or after the games today to find out when the Bills will be playing the Ravens and when the Texans will also be playing the Chiefs. We'll keep an eye on the Chiefs and Texans game as well on our next Bills post-game show, which will be coming next week. When it will come, well, that's going to be determined. The one thing that we got to determine over the rest of Wildcard Weekend right now is who's going to win the Eagles and Packers matchup. That's going down on Fox right now. And later tonight on NBC, the Buccaneers look to stay alive in the playoffs as they take on the Commanders. That's coming up at 8 o'clock tomorrow, at 8 o'clock tonight, as we are talking to you on a Sunday. So that is coming up at 8 p.m. Eastern. And that's the last game coming up on the Sunday slate. Underway right now, or getting underway, is the Eagles and the Packers in Philadelphia. That one is coming up. And it will be underway as we roll on here on Bills postgame. We've broken down the first two halves of this game. We know who the Bills are playing. Now it's going to determine now we just need to determine when we're playing. And now that we know we're playing the Ravens, we just need to know, when are they playing? When are we playing? What we need to know right now is when the Bills will play Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens. We will find all that out, I'm sure. We're also going to take you into the locker room before we wrap up Bills postgame. But now that we are through the first and second half, before we take this next break, which will be our final break, we're going to do 3 breaks for this show. 2 breaks, for this show. Because our first break, we broke down the first half, broke down the coaches, Sean McDermott and Sean Payton, versus, of course, we had quarterbacks as well, broken down there as well. And it was Bo Nix versus Josh Allen. Josh is in the conversation for the MVP, and honestly, I think we have a pretty good matchup between the Ravens and the Bills coming up next week. So that really is going to determine who the MVP is going to be for the Bills and Ravens, and entirely for the NFL. But remember, you also have Patrick Mahomes. Well, he's got to play the Texans. If the Texans do beat the Chiefs, which I hope they do, well, we'll have to see what the situation will be for Buffalo next week should they beat the Ravens, which I hope they beat the Ravens. But right now, 1 week at a time, we beat the Denver Broncos, ended their season. Now we got to focus on King Henry, Derrick Henry, and the Baltimore Ravens. We'll be starting to preview all of that in a little bit. Before we take this break, I want to acknowledge our play of the game. But let's get actually first, before we get there, let's talk about the stats, because I said we're going to talk about the stats, and we'll do that before we get to the next break of the program, which is our second break of the program and final break of this program, because we're only taking 2 breaks in this program on Bills postgame. We took our first break. We'll take our second break in a couple of minutes. Before we do, here's our game stats of the game. And just a reminder of how the teams finished the season. The Bills finished the regular season 13-4. The Denver Broncos finished the season 10-7. And here's how it stacked up on our CBS stats on CBS Sports. Download the app for yourself to follow your favorite team all postseason long. And be sure you stick with us for our coverage of it as well. The Buffalo Bills had the ball for quite a long time. 41 minutes and 43 seconds total possession. They had 26 first downs, 11 passing, one on a penalty for a first down, 14 rushing first downs for Buffalo. The Bills were 8 of 15 on third down efficiency, 2 for 2 on fourth down. They had 471 yards total in the game today, 72 plays called, 6.5 yards per play, 272 yards passing for Buffalo. Josh Allen completed 20 out of 26 completion attempts of his passes, 9.3 yards average per pass. Josh was sacked twice by the Denver defense to lose 11 yards on the play. So Josh was sacked twice in this game, something that Josh might need to be keeping an eye on when it comes down to it. And keeping it on the Bills, they rushed for 210 yards on 44 rushes, averaging 4.8 yards per rush. Goal to go efficiency, they were 1 for 3. Red zone, 1 for 5 in the red zone for the Bills. They had 7 penalties for 45 yards. No turnovers, no fumbles lost, no interceptions thrown, but it looked like there was an interception by Damar Hamlin. It would be ruled an incomplete pass, so there's no interceptions in this one. 3 touchdowns for the Bills, 1 rushing, 2 passing. No defense and special team touchdowns. 89 return yards for Buffalo in this one. They had 30 yards in 2 punt returns, 59 yards in 2 kickoff returns. No interception yards and no safeties. For Denver, 1 attempt on kickoff for 16 yards. They return. For punting yards, just a fair catch on the 1 opportunity they get. No safeties, no interceptions for both teams on interception yards. 16 return yards. No defensive special team touchdowns. Only the Troy Franklin passing touchdown, was the only touchdown they scored in this game. No defense and special team touchdowns or rushing touchdowns for the Broncos. No interceptions thrown by Bo Nix or their punter, who actually got into the game throwing. And that was Dixon, Riley Dixon. He faked a punt, and the Broncos got yardage back. The rest of the stuff for the Broncos, their time of possession, 18 minutes, 17 seconds, 13 first downs, 7 passing, 5 rushing, 1 penalty-wise. They were 2 of 9 on third down efficiency, 1 for 3 on fourth down efficiency. They had 224 total yards on 42 plays. 5.3 yards per play were averaged. Bo Nix and Riley Dixon. Well, Bo Nix threw for 144 yards. Add the 15 yards Riley Dixon passed for, and the Denver Broncos passed for 157 yards in their passing. 14 of 23 were completed. Of the 23 passes were completed by Denver. They averaged 5.8 yards per pass. Were sacked twice for a loss of 14 yards, and that came on Bo Nix, the rookie. He got sacked twice, lost 14 yards as a result. 79 rushing yards, 17 rushes, 4.6 yards average per rush. 0 for 0 in goal-to-go efficiency. 0 for 1 in red zone efficiency. 3 penalties for 27 yards. And the rest speak for itself, as I've already said. And that's your game stats of the game. All right. Game balls of the game and the play of the game coming up next. Plus, we preview what I like from the Buffalo Bills and what I would like to expect the Bills to clean up hosting the Ravens. I meant to say the Ravens, not the Broncos. The Ravens next week right here in Buffalo. Of course, I'm coming to you live from Mississauga, Ontario, in our Sports for Beginners podcast studio. I'll be coming to you live for the Penguins and the Lightning on Penguins postgame, right after we talk a little bit of women's hockey. That, of course, features the Montreal Victoire versus the Minnesota Frost. As I mentioned off the top of the show, that game right now headed to the third period. And our score right now is 2-2. We're in a 2-2 tie between Minnesota and, of course, yes, I said of course, the Montreal Victoire. That's a 2-2 tie. But we're focused right now on Buffalo beating Denver 31-7, our final score. We'll be back with the game break to check in on Philadelphia and Green Bay. Plus, set up Ravens versus Bills and our play of the game and game balls of the game coming up in just a matter of moments. Stick with us. We're wrapping up Bills postgame on the other side, getting you set for the Bills and the Ravens into Divisional Weekend. We set all that up when we return to Bills postgame. And of course, I wanted to get in a game break to talk about the Eagles and the Packers. That game going on right now on Fox or wherever you can find the game on your streaming services. We'll be back in just a moment.
Looking for conversations on the world of broadcasting, sports media, and from time to time, my favorite sports teams? Listen to Broadcast Map with me, Ali Musa. To learn more about the show and to view the upcoming schedule, like the Broadcast Map Facebook page. Search Broadcast Map.
Looking for a sports podcast that covers sports weekly as well as gets you set up for the day? Check out Weekly in Sports with me, Scott McGregor. We give some shout-outs of the week to podcasts like this one and those who do them. Discuss the Blue Jays, Bills, Raptors, and more. To learn more, check out the Sports for Beginners Facebook page. Search Sports for Beginners.
Looking for conversations on books and more, as well as tutorials on using your favorite devices and applications? You've come to the right place. Join us weekly on Spicy Techie, where Ali and Sienna provide insightful conversations as well as useful tips and tricks to help you along on your technological journey. To learn more, tune into the show and like the Spicy Techie Facebook page. Search for Spicy Techie.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you what, man. How about those Buffalo Bills? Right here, baby! Right here! You prepare all week, man. You prepare all week for it. You come out with a mindset, feeding each other. Offense, defense, special teams, working together as one. That's what a great football team does. Well done, man. Great job. All right, hey. O-line and D-line. It's going through you. I'm just telling you right now. It's going through you every dang week. Every dang week. 220-some yards rushing. Great job. Keep getting better every week. I'm so proud of you guys across the board. Everyone in here. Everyone. Great organizational win. Josh, go ahead.
Here you go. Hey, earn the right for another week. Let's keep getting better, all right? Watch this, enjoy this. Let's keep going. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
Josh and Sean bringing us back into the program here. Welcome back to Bill's Postgame here. Last moment of the program for this one. Oh, but the program just got started. Well, we got a lot to cover here on Triple Trouble on Sports for Beginners, the podcast. But that is our victory speech that was bringing us back in. And that brings us to our game balls of the game. Before we get to the game balls of the game, I want to let everyone know that we are coming to you live, in case you're just joining us, after the Buffalo Bills defeated the Denver Broncos 31-7, the final score, and the Bills beat the Broncos convincingly 31-7. Well, I mean, there might be a bit of a questionable play here when we get to our play of the game in just a moment. But we're going to also get to the game balls also in just a moment. This just recently happened when we get to scoring. Jalen Hurt finds Dotson for an 11-yard touchdown. Jake Elliott, extra point up and good. Philadelphia has taken a 7-0 lead on the Green Bay Packers. So the Packers right now looking to get on the board against the Philadelphia Eagles. It's 7-0 in that one. Coming up later at 8 p.m. Eastern, it's the Washington Commanders taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, the record in the regular season won't change. So going into this game, the Green Bay Packers finished the season 11-6. The Philadelphia Eagles finished 14-3. The Washington Commanders finished the season 12-5. The Buccaneers finished 10-7, excuse me. And the Minnesota Vikings and Los Angeles Rams, the Rams finished 10-7. The Vikings finished 14-3 on the regular season. The Baltimore Ravens 1-0. Same for Buffalo in the postseason. They finished the regular season 12-5. The Pittsburgh Steelers finished the regular season 10-7. The 10-7 Houston Texans are 1-0 in the playoffs, going against the 0-0 Kansas City Chiefs. They defeated the 11-6 Los Angeles Chargers. And again, the Texans are going against the Chiefs on Divisional playoff weekend in the NFL, which will also see MVP versus MVP, Lamar Jackson versus Josh Allen, Derrick Henry versus James Cook, and all in all, Jim Harbaugh taking on Sean McDermott. I'll double check that after we get out of here just to make sure I have that right. Actually, let's double check that now. We know Sean McDermott is head coach of the Buffalo Bills. What's our head coach for Baltimore? It's John Harbaugh. John Harbaugh, not Jim Harbaugh. It's John Harbaugh. So John and Sean are going head to head next week, and I'll preview that in a little bit. But yes, for our game break, 7-0 Eagles on the Packers right now. 7-0 Eagles on the Packers right now in the first quarter of play. Commanders and Buccaneers coming up later on Sunday. And then the Vikings take on the Rams at Glendale, Arizona on Monday. Alrighty, so with all that in the rearview mirror, let's get to our play of the game. And honestly, I got to go with that insane touchdown grab by Ty Johnson. Yes, it went under review. But it was an insane catch by Ty Johnson. I thought this was coming back. I'm going to be real honest with you. I thought this was coming back. I did not think this was going to stand. And then to top it all off, the Bills decide we're going to go ahead and go for two. And Josh finds Keon Coleman for the 2-point conversion. Yeah, going for two. Well, they converted on that timeline. And then it all just kind of steamrolled from there. But Good enough for my play of the game is the Josh Allen pass to Curtis Samuel. 55 yards. The longest pass, I should say, Josh threw in this game. And this is the longest catch for Curtis Samuel. 55 yards. What a touchdown that was. Tyler Bass on the extra point makes it up and good. And just like that, the Bills went from up 21-7 to up 28-7. And then Tyler Bass iced it with a 34-yard field goal to make our final score 31-7 Buffalo. And now they got to go head to head with the Baltimore Ravens in what I'm sure will be quite an MVP matchup. Who's it going to be? When are they going to play? When are the Bills and the Ravens going to play? We're going to know all the answers by the time Wildcard Weekend wraps up on Monday. But until then, Bills Mafia, as we're into the game balls of the game, that the play of the game has come and gone, we wait to find out when that will happen. I, of course, will be back with you for another edition of Bills Postseason Football on Bills Postgame. And without further ado, let's get to it, shall we? Because I want to leave some time for me to get into some final thoughts. And some of the things I think the Bills are going to need to clean up when they play Baltimore next week in the postseason into the divisional round. So, first of all, let's start with the Broncos. And I gotta give Bo Nix his flowers. 13 completions on 22 attempts. Only got sacked twice, but scored one touchdown. Didn't throw for a lot of yards, but at least he did throw a touchdown. And that was quite an interesting one. To our next recipient of a game ball for them, Troy Franklin. 3 targets, 2 catches, 54 yards, 27 yards average, 1 touchdown. 43-yard touchdown run was the touchdown catch, I should say, was the longest he ran a catch for. Also, got to give some credit to Ridley Nixon. Ridley Nixon punted 4 punts. His longest was a 53-yarder. He had 2 of the punts that he made inside the 20-yard line. Averaged 48 yards per punt. So we're going to go with Ridley Dixon, who also pulled off a fake punt for his only pass of the game. Bo Nix, Troy Franklin. Those are the game balls of the game for the Denver Broncos. For your Buffalo Bills, James Cook, 120 yards, 23 rushing carries, 5.2 yards, 1 touchdown, 19 yards on the ground. Josh Allen sacked twice for 11 yards lost. Threw 2 touchdown passes. Also used his legs. 8 carries, 46 yards. 9 yards the longest run for Josh. 5.8 yards average, 46 yards total. How about Ty Johnson? Catches every single target he had. 2 targets, 2 catches, 26 yards, 13 yards average, 1 touchdown. 24 yards, his longest. That was his touchdown. And then Curtis Samuel, 55 yards, 1 touchdown. 22.7 yards average. And he was another of the Bills' threat. 3 catches, 3 targets, 68 yards for Curtis Samuel. Curtis Samuel, Josh Allen, James Cook, and Ty Johnson, as well as Dalton Kincaid, are going to get some game balls of the game recipients here. And then how about the work? How about the work from Sam Martin and Tyler Bass? 3 for 3 in field goals for Tyler Bass. 2 for 2 in the extra points. 34 yards, his longest field goal. And then 1 punt for Sam Martin, 45 yards, his longest. It was inside the 20. And it's the only one he had inside the 20-yard line. And there you have it, your game balls of the game. All right, we're at the final moment of the show. So we know it's Denver not playing next week. We know it's Bills versus Ravens. That we know. What we don't know about next week is when will the Texans and the Chiefs play? And will Buffalo and Baltimore be after it? Or will Baltimore and Buffalo be before Texans and Chiefs? Also, we need to determine right now in the NFC who is going to play who. So who is going to play the Lions? Who is going to play in the other side? We have Philadelphia and Green Bay going on right now. The Buccaneers play later tonight on NBC and against Washington. And the winners of these games, on Monday, we will hear our announcement of our schedule for the AFC and the NFC. The Rams will play against Minnesota in Glendale, Arizona, at the home of the Arizona Cardinals. And this just in, speaking of the Packers and the Eagles have gone up 10-0. So the Packers still without a score. They're going to need to score points if they want any chance of continuing on in the playoffs. Coming up, the Commanders and the Buccaneers. The winner moves on to Divisional Sunday or Saturday. Divisional weekend, Sunday and Saturday. And will face either the Vikings or the Rams. And or face the Lions. A lot to be determined on Monday. My name is Scott McGregor. It's the 12-5 Ravens versus the 13-4 Buffalo Bills next week and next time on Bills Postgame. We got lots more coverage on our Sports for Beginners doubleheader, or triple header, I should say. Up next, I'll talk to you about the Montreal Victoire and their game against the Minnesota Frost. Quick update on that game. It's now 3-1. 3-2, excuse me. Frost in the third period on the Victoire. We'll break it all down for you on PWHL Recap coming up later. And also, speaking of coming up later, the Penguins are in play right now with the Tampa Bay Lightning. That is going to do it for us right now on Bills Postgame for this postseason edition. We will see you next season, Denver. But Baltimore, you're next. And speaking of being next, we've got Shout coming up to close us out. My name is Scott McGregor. Thank you guys so much for joining us here today on the podcast. Keep your eyes peeled, Penguin fans who are turning into Bills fans for the rest of the season for the NFL. If you still watch football, because we got the Penguins and the Bolts coming up later on Sports for Beginners' triple header. If you're watching the PWHL, keep your eyes peeled. Frost and the Victoire are next on Sports for Beginners' triple header. My name is Scott McGregor. This has been Bills postgame. Bills and the Broncos. The Bills win it 31-7. I am Scott McGregor. We will see you next week after the Ravens and the Bills. But stick around during our triple header. We might reveal to you our timeline for Bills and the Ravens on Bills postgame. Stick with us. Until then, shout, take it away. Go Bills. And I will see you, Bills Mafia, at Divisional Weekend. Enjoy your Victory Monday. I'm out. Go Bills. We'll talk after Divisional Weekend and specifically after Ravens and Bills. Hockey content the rest of the way on this triple header on Sports for Beginners. But that is it for us for now for football. Bills take on the Ravens next week in the divisional round and will face either the Texans or the Chiefs if they can knock off Jackson, Henry, and the Ravens in Buffalo next week. We'll see you then.
The Bills make me wanna shout, kick your heels up and shout, throw your hands up and shout, throw your head back and shout. Come on now, the Bills are making it happen now. Stand up now, come on and shout. Yeah, 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 yeah. Say you will. Shout it right now, baby. Say you will. Come on, come on. Say you will. Come on and shout. Say you will. Yeah. Shout. Buffalo's happening now. Shout. We're on the move now. Shout. The Bills are happening now. Shout. They're making it happen now. Shout. We got the spirit. Shout. A lot of spirit, yeah. Shout. We got the spirit. Shout. Just watch it happen now. Hey, 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 hey. Let's go Buffalo. Let's go Buffalo. Let's go Buffalo. Let's go Buffalo. The Bills make me wanna shout.
Thank you so much for listening to Sports for Beginners. If you would like to learn more about the show, you can visit the podcast Facebook page or visit the official website. You can also send us an email at sportsforbeginnerspodcast8231@gmail.com. As we always remind you, it is not goodbye, it is until next time.